So this group ID. Yes. So here, the group ID is 3. We do that, and then increment the score. And then otherwise we increment the ammo for the enemies. Oh no, that's pretty low gutter. Oh well, I'll come back up. So now we have the score incremented for the group ID and such. So now that we have that, we want to actually take out the score from here. And we're going to want to add that into here. Okay, so there's all of that. This we don't need to do anything with. And then come down here to enemy. Again, nothing needs to be done with that there. And then come here. We want to destroy the bullet, and we want to destroy the entity that we are colliding with. So, in the case of it's group ID 3, and we're colliding with anything else, then we want to destroy that and destroy that. And then finally, we want to come over to our entity manager, and we want to double check that the group ID of this guy, if group ID is greater than 2, meaning it is a bullet of some sort, then we want to do that. And so now what you'll notice is if we come over to here, so now, if we go through and we play the game, much faster. And it'll have the same effects. It's just now that our bullets are handling all of the collisions instead of the enemies. This makes everything significantly faster. No more of that nasty lag from before. So that'll be good. You'll notice that it's already playing a little bit smoother as well as far as how the collisions work, which is also nice, of course. And our score still works. And of course we could add in a counter with the bullets. I'm not too concerned with that, so I'm not really going to bother. But you can see that we can go through and we can destroy all of them. And get our nice little score of 50. So the big things left now are implementing a live system, and then implementing a game over screen, and a new level screen, or a you win screen. Excuse me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simply do a you win screen, and we are going to have a game over screen as well. So now that we have all of that, let's go ahead back over to ship, and we are going to now add in a lives item. And lives is going to be the exact same thing as this, except it is going to be lives. So we're going to put this under entities now instead, even though it's not technically an entity. I'm going to do new item. It's going to be lives. And before I do that, I'm going to go through and I am going to upload the changes. And added collisions to entity manager. Added player ship. Added enemy ship. Added bullet system. And updated graphics. And we'll go go through and commit that. Go ahead and synchronize that. And again, you guys can download all of those below in the descriptions, so you guys can see the code. So let's go back to this now, and we're just going to copy over most of what was over here in score, except now it's going to be called lives. And then we're going to have remove live. And then we're going to come here. I'm going to add into there a lives.cpp file, and it's just going to be the same thing as score, except it's going to be lives. And then this dot value is going to be minus equals 1. Lives. And so there's that. So now that we have that, we can go over to our main game, which is here. And we're going to want to first add in the lives indicator. And then we're going to come to main game here. We're going to have this lives font 64U, and we're just going to come over to the previous project, and we're going to just copy the offset that we used for the score 2 for player 2. So, oops, project ping main game and score. There it is. So there's that. And now that we have that all set, we will want to come over to lives. Default value will be 3 and 3. And that should hopefully all work. Oh, we gotta draw it as well though on the screen. So let's come down here and now we have our live system. So now we'll want to come over to the enemy bullets. Now this is actually going to hold the lives manager. And we need to include that in here. And we need to pass that in when we create him. Correct? I'm not losing my mind, am I? Cool. So, go there, do that, go there, do that. And then this lives is equal to lives. And then finally, when we create the bullets, we'll want to give it the lives indicator as well. So we'll go to that, and we will have a lives, and this is going to be the same type of thing as this. So there's that, and bullet. We have this remove life. So there's that. And that had some errors. So here. Take that, put that there, and then we'll have to do the same thing over here. now, when we get hit by a bullet, do that. Did not quite work out the way I'd hoped. So let's go through and see what's going on. And that should remove a life. So let's go through and see. So we have that. Ha! And we forgot to update it was the problem. So now we need to come here and update it. So we have make sure we draw that. Now you'll notice the bullets are going underneath. The reason for that is that we are drawing them after some of after the enemies. So in order to really fix that, what we'd have to do is we'd have to add in a sorting method. I'm not really going to go through that this time around. It's not a huge deal, though we will probably go over that in the future for some of the underpass overpass effects. So don't worry about that for right now, but that's why it's doing it, is that you're drawing it afterwards, or drawing it before the enemy, or after the enemies, and so the enemies get drawn sooner. Okay, so we have all of that. The next big thing we need to do is we need to come here, and we need to add in a, we need to go into the player. We need to make sure that when he is destroyed, that we properly handle how that all works. So let's go into here first of all. We need to still update the player as well for the entity side of things. And the reason for that is that if the player hits a enemy, then we need to have them do that. So right now we are still doing this wrong, actually. Whoops. Boy, that's not good. So if it's greater than 2, or if it is equal to, and that's basically going to check the player against all of those guys as well. So we'll go through and we'll leave them to come down and get us real quick. Give them a second. There. Oh. Let's go ahead and speed that up a little bit. Enemy, make that 3. That should hopefully move plenty fast for us. And that did not quite work the way I wanted. Because we need to have the ship actually handle that. So, if we collide with an enemy, then we want to have our, whoops, I don't want to increase their ammo, but we do want to destroy the enemy and ourselves. So, bringing this over here so you guys can see, you'll notice that their offsets are getting all weird. That's again because we're going at such a high speed right now. And so doing that goes ahead and destroys us. And the final thing that we'll want to go through and do is as well be able to remove the lives from in there. But really, we don't even want to do that. We actually want to just go ahead and force a game over. So what we're going to do is we are going to come here, and we're going to do an external game over. And that's going to be equal to false by default. But if we get a game over, if game over, game over. So now that we have that, let's go through and we need to add this to ship. So we'll come here, and then we will come here, and we will make sure that in this case we do get a game over. And next what we want to do is create a game over state screen, and I'm just going to come here and copy this from the Santa Sleigh Ride game that we did at Christmas. And we just need to find a game over, and we'll take that and right-click new item. And this is pretty standard. We're just going through and making a really simple game over state. There's not a whole lot of special stuff here with it. If you really want to see what it looks like, you can visit it, but I'll go over it in just a second after I copy this over. And I'm just doing this to save us some time because it's all stuff that we've gone over before in this, in these videos, so there's really no need to go over this again and again. So we have all of this standard stuff, and the big thing we're going to do now is core state. Let's see here now real quick. Core state. Dot set state to main menu. And then we come over to here, and we have our include game over, and we're just going to come here, copy, paste, game over, and we'll want to go through and do this right here, actually. So, do that, then come and get us. And now the reason for that is that we're using a font that we don't have. We actually want to make sure that we're using the right font. So we'll go to main game and find the font. Again, test it one more time. And get our nice game over, and we're all set. So let's go through now and set the enemy speed back to normal. And what we're going to do now is we need to finally have it so that when the player loses a life, that they're not destroyed, but that they lose the life, and that when the lives reach 0, then it goes ahead and sets it to a game over. So let's come over here to bullets, and that is going to be where we will change it from destroying the player to removing a life, and if the lives are less than 0, then we want to go through and end the game. So we'll go here, and we'll say, let's see here, where's our game over screen? There it is. Or it's less than or equal. Get date void lives that. There's that. There's that. Value is less than or equal to 0. And we also want to make sure that we set game over to false again, just to make sure that there's no confusion there. And now we can go through and we can get hit by bullets, and that's going to make us lose a life. And finally, when we lose all our lives, we go back to that. And we can go through and we can do this. We can destroy all of these guys. And yeah. So the final thing we'll want to do is a you win screen. So let's come here, new item, and win screen. And win screen. Same thing there. Set that win screen. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. And win screen. That should go there. So there's that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to need to keep track of how many enemies are left. So int enemy count, and come here. This 0, and then every time we add an enemy, our enemy count will go up. 1. And then when we destroy an enemy, actually that's not going to work. We're going to want external enemy count, external int enemy count, and it's equal to 0. And then every time we add an enemy, now it'll increase. And every time we destroy an enemy, we will want to destroy that. External enemy count. And finally, come over to main game. We will do if enemy count is then equal to 0, then for state set state to win screen, and then the enemy count should be set back to 0. Finally, for win screen, we want to set that font to green, make it look okay, and that do its work. And that'll let us go through and destroy the rest of those guys. And yeah. So now what we need to do is fix some of the little bugs in here. Delete manager. Isn't there something else I'm forgetting? Delete this lives. Manager, pause text. All done. Win screen. So we need to destroy this text. And do we need to destroy anything else? Nope. So there's that. And finally, we need to come destroy the game over text to free up our memory there. So there's that, there's that, there's that. And then our enemy is all set. All of his stuff should be handled already. We have that. That, and the entity manager goes through and destroys everything when it's erased. Delete iterator.second. Okay, that's all set. Anything else? That should be good. So let's go through and give it one last little test run of our invaded Space Invaders clone. So to start the game, just press the Enter key, and you can go through and destroy all of these guys. And once you destroy them all, you'll be able to go through and so there's that. Uh-oh. 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 Ooh. Got hit. So we can go through and we can lose, and let's go through and let this do its work. Now, one thing I will say is that it doesn't seem to be keeping track of all the enemies properly. So what we need to do now is we need to make sure that we are properly getting rid of the enemy count. So let's see here. Enemy count plus equals 1 every time we add an enemy. That looks good. Enemy count is less than or equal to 0. That looks good. So let's come over to the bullet object. So the enemy count gets 1 subtracted anytime that we do that. So what we want to change that to is case 2. That'll make sure that the enemy count is, that we only have that happen and we only increment the score during that. Let's come over here now. And of course we could do something like make sure that the what's new? Do that and do that and do that. That'll help a little bit. So there's that. That'll help to prevent some bugs, which is I think where that was coming in actually. Now there are a total of 50 guys, so our score we should have the game end when our score reaches 50. That's not to mean 50 bullets, it's just to mean we've killed all 50 guys. Let's go through and do this real quick. We got 51 somehow. Shouldn't be possible. And again, that should have allowed us to destroy them all. Core.set state should have turned out there. It's less than or equal to 0. Okay. Seems to have added more enemies than it should have been. Initialize. Let's try that one more time. Ooh, we're getting higher than we should be. So, part of the problem we're running into now is the bullets are double colliding with everything. So what we want to do now is we're going to come to our entity manager, and we want to actually just stop colliding with things once we're done. So we'll go through and do that. And that'll also help to speed things up a little bit. That'll make sure that the score does not get above a certain amount. It's still doing that. Sorry, 1 second. Let's see what this is all about. Ah, okay, just events on Facebook. Okay, so there is all of that. So we have that. This breaks out from there. So if it equals a bullet, or if it is the player. Interesting. So, go through each object. Ah, that was the other problem that we're having. And the other thing we want to do is we want to check if they're both active. So if iterator second active and iterator 2 second active, then we can have collisions. Oh man. And actually just go ahead now and remove that, and that'll help to prevent the double collisions issue. Oopsie, apparently. Go ahead and let that kill quite a few of them. we see that working. Cool. And again, a few more bugs with the positional side of things. The reason for that is, again, the fact that we need to make sure that we are resetting the game everywhere properly. So let's go through and fix that little bug as well. So we go through, we do that. We want to make sure that all of our enemies, so let's see if we can replicate that bug first. So let them jump around a little bit and get rid of a few of them. Do that, quit, and then go back in. We already see them jumping around. So I believe the bug happens from when they move down a column. And it seems to be a pretty accurate way of doing that now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let them jump down, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to add a breakpoint in. And as soon as we click play, it's going to go through and it is going to show us where that is. So let's go through real quick and make sure that our entities are completely empty. So we go through and we can see that all of that is completely empty. And let's go ahead now and do that. And if we go through and we do that, so let's go through now and we'll go to our update and our render, and we'll see what hits first. So the first thing to hit is the render. So let's see what our entities are. We have 51 entities, all of which are there. So let's go through and we will make sure we get to the end of that. And we'll notice that it's still not drawn, so we want to come over here to main, and we want to honestly just wait until we get to our display method. And once we get there, then the window is updated. We can see that everything is drawn as it should be. So let's go through and we'll wait one more iteration and we will see what goes on. So now that we get there, we are paused. We're not paused apparently. Bless. And we can see already that one of them has gotten out of ranks. So let's see where that happens exactly. And the reason is that paused did not happen properly. And we can see that another couple of them have gone out already. And we'll go into there. So, let's see where this issue stems from. So, the point of this issue, if I'm not mistaken, is our velocity. So if we come over here, we have that the enemies have a shared direction. So what we need to do now is we need to come here, we need to take that direction, and we need to make sure we set it back to the default once the game is restarted. So we'll come over here, we'll set the direction equal to 0.75f to make sure that it's corrected. And then once we do that, and we click play, and we'll go past that, let them go down a row, and it's all fixed. Now the last thing we need to do as well is we also need to make sure that their ammo is reset to 5. So when the game is again started, their ammo should be 5. So now we can have them shoot their bullets, and if we stop mid-game, They have 5 bullets on the screen there, but once we restart, they'll be able to use 5 more bullets. And the game is fully playable. You can go through and play the simple Space Invaders all ready to go. Adding in a limitation to the number of player bullets is also possible. Quick way you can do that is we will come into ship, and we have ship here, and then we'll have extern int player ammo, and we'll want to come into ship.cpp, come up to the top here and do that. And we'll set the player ammo into 2, and we'll go with 3. Players should not have that much ammo, otherwise they'll be able to just spam it like I've been. And when they press that, then they lose a bullet. Lose 1. And if it's greater than 0, then they can fire. And what we'll want to do finally is come over here to bullet, and we will want to say that ammo should be plus 1, and we want to have an extern there. And that will help to limit how much our player can fire. So now, the player can only have 3 bullets. That'll help with making the game a little bit more challenging, as well as to prevent things like the massive amounts of lag we were having before. And the game is still, of course, beatable. You can do everything like normal. The last thing that we'll want to add in is going to be, man, I'm bad at this now. Ooh, that's not good. Ooh, and the last thing we'll want to do is make sure that when the bullets disappear off, else if this group ID is 3, player ammo plus equals 1, we destroy it. So that'll go through and make sure that we always have bullets for the player. And finally, we want to come to main game and do the same thing for player ammo, except it's going to be 3. So there's all of that. And the final thing that we're going to do to make this a little cleaner, well, a few more final things. Find enemy ammo is 5, player ammo is 3, game over, false. So that will let us more easily manage things like this. So you can come in here and you can change this to whatever you want. And yeah, so one more thing that I want to do is I want to make them a little further from the top. That way we can read the font, or the text at the top without anything in our way. So there's that. So now we can read all of that, and it looks nice and pretty. And there is our very, very, very minimalistic, simple Space Invaders clone. Not a whole lot in there. It's pretty bare bones. You can die, you can win, no real big limitations. You could, of course, add in some more complicated things, but this is just kind of a simple run-through of how you can do some neat tricks using a very simple entity manager. Again, not a whole lot of special stuff going on. Ooh, that's going to cost me. Oh man, I cannot win this, can I? Thanks. Aww. So, yep. So there is our very basic Space Invaders game. I will upload this to GitHub real quick. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to feel free to go ahead and ask away in the chat, and we will go from there. So there's all of that, and if there are any questions, you guys are free to ask away. I have a little bit of time before I have to go and do stuff, about 15 minutes, so yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask away. Looks like I got some new subscribers. Let me give some shout outs here. Thank you to Beatles Roll 456 for now following me. It says there's another, but I can't see who. But yeah. Ooh, hey, I just got an Amazon Echo. So, looks like I'm going to have an Amazon Echo soon, so that'll be pretty fun to mess with. If there's no questions, though, I'm going to head out. I've got some errands to run as I move into my new place. So, next week, we are going to go on and build something else. I'm still trying to figure out what game exactly we'll build. Next weekend, it'll be on a Saturday instead of a Friday or Sunday. I apologize again that I'm doing this early. This is just due to the fact that I'm moving and my life's a little chaotic right now. If there's any suggestions for kind of games you guys want to see built, feel free to ask away. The other thing I'd like to ask is if you guys are interested in me just kind of streaming my general game development and projects I work on, you're more than welcome to send me a message or something, and I can go ahead and do that. I'm working on a first-person shooter currently. It's called Ducking Octo Adventure, just kind of a fun little name. You can find that on my GitHub and such, and maybe I'll do some posts about that as well as some videos. Quick little thing as well for those who are curious about whether C++ is still a relevant language. I did do a blog post about this recently. If you go down under announcements, under fun reads, you can go ahead and see that. And it's an interesting little post. It's pretty basic on game dev and some other stuff that are useful to have C++'s language skill. So with that, I am off for tonight / to this evening. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy this. I really hope that everybody likes what I'm doing so far. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys later.